And I told him, if you ever fucking touch my lamp again, I'll cut your fucking fingers off. All right? You get me? Oh, hi, everybody. Welcome. Welcome. That was a bad intro. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have been mean. I don't know. Hi, folks. Welcome to Hitting Mark with Harry and Mark. I'm your host, Harry. This is your co host, Mark. Say hi, Mark.
Hi.
We're two idiots who like to talk about things we have no knowledge of. Anyway, so things that we have no fucking knowledge of. Let's start
hmm
with fucking, as the internet has now called it, stonks.
Great
Have you
name.
heard of this, Harry? Yeah, stonks.
Uh, it's hard not to.
Yeah.
It's fucking everywhere, all over Twitter, all over the news.
Oh yeah.
Um,
The memes are so good.
the
I
memes are
normally
great.
don't like care for some of the craze memes. Like the Bernie Sanders stuff is good, but like they almost
hmm
always fade out. I really like that the "we fucked over the establishment" meme is really kind of hitting the fan and kind of running with it.
Yes.
How's that for two metaphors that don't make any sense? Or whatever, similes, homonyms, colloquial, I don't know.
Right.
Anywho. So Harry, if you want to fill the people who pretend not to know what's going on in, we would much appreciate it.
Um. Well, basically, I'm trying to find a very simple way to describe. Because I even had to watch some YouTube people just kind of like explain it to me and read some articles and whatnot and
So
um
if you want, I think I could give a gist of it
okay,
that
good.
could help.
Yeah.
So I don't know the names of the players with the exception of GameStop. I didn't take that time. I'm sure Harry can fill us in.
Mhm.
Um, Essentially, what happened is GameStop, that company that's been kind of going out of business for like 20 years. Uh, they've been, depreciating, or the value of their stock has been going down over the last couple years. They've kind of been getting ready to, like, go kaput. Um, at the same time as all this is happening, a hedge fund company has been, uh, betting against their stock or shorting their stock. Essentially, what a hedge fund company does is, it basically guesses whether a company is going to fail or survive and invests or bets on whether or not it's going to live or survive. It's kind of a, if I could kind of mask off, it's really dirtbag
Mhm.
business. Um,
Yeah. Agreed.
it's basically just like putting bets on whether or not Granny's going to make it across the street and, get hit or not. And an abnormally large amount of bets are to like Granny getting fucking whacked by a semi, and like, oh well, there's no morality behind it, da da da. Oh, it's just betting, you just whatever. So these fuckers were doing what they normally do. They saw blood in the water. They're like, oh hey, look, GameStop. They're kind of going down. So they put all this money into them going out of business, and apparently, fucking, there was a coordinated effort on, I think it was like Reddit and 4chan and a bunch of other people who had the money after the fact, invested and bought shares in GameStop.
Mhm.
So, fucking, there was this huge bubble that began, I think, about a week ago, and GameStop's stock soared, and these companies that had essentially bet in favor of GameStop collapsing all of a sudden now owed money for losing their bet. And
Yeah.
that is essentially what happened. I believe 2, maybe 3 hedge fund companies that had
Mhm.
invested in the stock shortage of this company have already gone under, which, I mean, like, boohoo. I think the only genuine problem, I don't know how much of this is valid. I don't know much about the stock market. I'd
Uh-huh.
like to know more. But apparently this could influence some people's pensions. I don't know whose. I don't know what sector, but that seems like the only genuine, like, moral dilemma. But other than that, fucking $13 billion worth this company owes. They're gonna get fucking bankrupt. I hope they file
Mhm.
Chapter 11. Fucking cry about it.
Yeah.
Um, the memes are fucking great.
Memes are fantastic.
The United States government is keeping an eye on it. Groups are going after the poster of the R Wall Street subreddit. So yeah, that's pretty fucking rad. Robinhood is like canceling or restricting some of its like bullshit. I don't know. I don't know the vernacular, but it's this couldn't be like a bigger instance of systemic hypocrisy where it's like,
Yeah.
oh gosh, we we want to give people the chance to invest, and then we give a coordinated investment. And they're like, oh no, we were attacked, and like I don't mean to be like a lib and be like babies first, capitalism, but like this is just capitalism. This is a system that the rich use to waggle in our face and tell us how important it is and how complicated it is. And you have like 1,000 fucking people who know enough invest in the system to prove that it's not complicated, that it can be done. And they're like, oh, well, you know what? No, we can't let them do this. This is terrible. Oh God, you're destroying lives. And fucking, and people want to fucking cry about it. So yeah. So, Harry, if you have any of the names of the companies or any of the information, I'd love to put you on the spot.
Yeah, no, I got you. So basically, to go into more detail, what really got, like, because people have been throwing out that just one person dropped, I think, over $50,000 in GameStop shares. And so right now his shares are worth like 22 million and going up.
Fucking Christ.
Right, but this guy has been investing since last year. Like this guy, he's been investing for a long time. It's just basically recently, the past week basically, and I think it was yesterday when it really got big, is this Reddit group. Can't quite remember the name. It's like Wall Street Bets, I believe it's called.
Or Wall Street Bets or something like that.
They basically, as a community, said, we're just gonna buy all the stock. Mm-hmm. They went in, bought every single stock as a group, and so, I mean, at that point, you really think, okay, well, the stock, I mean, what's it really worth? Like, if you have it, that's fine, but if people are trying to sell it, like, who's going to really want GameStop stock, right? That's the idea. Like, who really wants it if that company is going to go down? The reason why the value goes up is, as you said, the hedge fund people basically placing bets. The way it works, to be more technical about it, is called a short. Basically,
and
these hedge fund...
what just happened is called like a stock squeeze, right?
Yeah, so basically what these people do is they get someone who owns the stock, says, hey, if you let me borrow your stock, I'm going to sell it and I'll give it back to you. You know, it's like you said, it's a bet. So basically this person in the middle takes the stock, sells it for its value. Let's just say $10, right? It's a $10 value. So if the stock depreciates down to like $5, or $3, the person in the middle buys it back for $3, gives it back to the person. Now that person just profited $7 by basically doing nothing.
And they do this like on a large scale with multiple companies that are just like on the downturn. Exactly.
And so, but then there's the flip side of what happened the other day. Mm-hmm. That stock can shoot up in price. So let's say, he sells it for 10 and then it goes up to 15. He's going to now he's going to buy it for 15 and give it back to the person, but he lost out on $5, right? Mm-hmm. So the problem is these people were buying, or these people sold GameStop stock for dirt cheap, right? Like $5, $3. I think the lowest it was like $3, right? So they're selling for $10, $5, $3, and then all of a sudden, all these people bought, basically this Reddit group bought all the stock, and now they're trying, the people in the middle, the short, are trying to give it the shares back to the people they borrowed it from. The problem is this Reddit group is not selling the shares. They're just holding on to them. So
Mhm.
that's why the value is going up, because these people aren't letting go. And
Well,
the
the
thing,
problem is from what I know is that that's an artificial bubble. Like that's eventually going to collapse.
right, but the thing is, those people still owe that share to that person they borrowed it from.
Right.
So they need to get that share somehow. So let's say the value of that share is $5. But if you can't get it, you're going to try to buy it from someone. It's, you just go like, hey, I know this share is only $5, but I'll give you 15. I'll give you 20.
GameStop
I'll give you 20,
shares.
right?
Get your GameStop stairs.
Yes.
Oh
So
God.
but the thing is, what these people are doing in Reddit, they're not letting go of their shares. They're like,
Yeah.
we're keeping them. So now these people in this hedge fund are kind of freaking out because they're like, we owe these shares. They're worth, they're originally $3. They're up to 400, plus dollars now. We are losing hundreds of dollars, and this is just per share. So, like you said, this is in a mass, quantity of shares. So they owe a lot of money to these
Oh yeah.
people, and it's only getting more because not just this group, but there's just random people. And this is where Robinhood comes in. Random people started finding out about this, and they said, "Hey, Robinhood's free to download. I'm going to download this app, buy some GameStop shares, and make a profit." And everyone was doing that. So now
God.
there's all these random people
You
outside of
hear
that
that,
Reddit
boys?
group.
With a land shark, with a loan sharks. Now we're gonna come break that company's knees, huh? Huh? You better pay up. I hope you got a pretty wife or a pretty husband, whatever you prefer. We're gonna break their knees too.
So there's these random people who are using an app on their phone to buy these stocks, these shares. And so obviously, this was happening all day yesterday. People were downloading Robinhood, buying shares, and this doesn't just stop at GameStop. They bought GameStop, AMC, Nokia,
Yeah, right. All the other
BlackBerry,
ones that
all
they're
these
yeah.
random shares that are worth nothing, and they're just buying them all up and just holding on to them because it's just like, hey, they could, if people could do it to GameStop, why can't we do it to all these other companies that are going out of business, right? And now these hedge funds companies are like, oh crap, we're gonna lose a lot. We're losing a lot more money, and we're gonna lose as the days go on. We're gonna lose a lot more. So this is where Robinhood comes in and says, okay, we're gonna stop people from buying these specific shares, and that's where that's when um um public not public officials politicians started getting like AOC and Ted Cruz and all that, because that is illegal. That is no longer fair trade. When
Yeah.
you're preventing people from buying stocks that
Mm-hmm.
is in the market, that is no longer fair trade. And people are looking into it, and they're finding out that people who own Robinhood are part of the hedge fund that are getting screwed right now. So it's like, I
Change
don't
your
know.
name to Rob from Robin to Sheriff of Nottingham. Jesus.
Yes. So there's this huge issue. I don't know if Robinhood took it back yet, but politicians are getting into it, and a lot of people like AOC actually did a stream on Twitch. She got some people
Know
to
that.
hop on. She got some people to hop on to kind of like explain what's happening and why it's not okay and all this other stuff. I'm not like, I obviously everyone recently has started getting into politics and whatnot, and she's one person that I've been following for a while, and
Right.
that's she's literally the only one who would hop onto Twitch and do that, and I think that's
Forgetting the fact that that's an immensely interesting topic on its own.
exactly.
Like she's the tangent from it. She's the first fucking politician to harness fucking Twitch.
Mm-hmm.
Like Trump fucking before her. Sorry. 45. Call him 45 from now on. That's an immensely interesting thing. The fact
Yeah.
that she's able to like use this medium. Now you're gonna see Mitch McConnell fucking oh god with his turtle ass on there. Anywho, so back to the topic. I'm sorry. So you had
No, you're good.
figures like AOC. You had the White House did a briefing too, and they kind of give a non-reply about it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's people on Twitter saying like, oh, why the White House is in on it and blah blah blah. It's like,
Oh,
I
these
think
fucking views.
when it comes to I don't know, like they could be right, they could be wrong, I don't know, but when it comes to that, I don't know how much the White House really has to do with Wall Street, because that's Wall
They,
Street. That's something different.
yeah.
Where the White House is like, I understand that this is a current issue, but
Hmm.
how much does the White House really care about that? You know what I
Well,
mean?
if I could be a jackass for a
Uh
moment,
huh. Go for it.
um, because of how our system is set up, I'll just do like a little diagnostic real quick.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the right, and then there's the middle. There's no political left in the establishment. The middle, or like slightly to the left, or like slightly to the right, is the Democratic Party.
Mm-hmm.
Everything to the right of that, like far right, is the Republican Party. The Republican Party have been displaying immensely fascistic tendencies for the last 20 years. The
Mm-hmm.
Democrats aren't much better, but here's the thing. The Democrats are mainly liberals and neoliberals, which means they're more concerned with upholding capitalism than they are like accelerating into fascism or nationalism or all that extra bullshit.
Yeah.
So, what that means is when a company or groups of financial groups like this realize that the little fucking poor child realized that they could kick them in the shin and it hurts, then the US government responds as a defender of, not as a defender, but it's like the current establishment thrives and survives off of capitalism and the people who donate money to them and the system that they benefit off of,
Okay.
as in political climate. Um, in my opinion, this was first and foremost a corporate instance where they're like, "Oh God, shut it down," and then the U.S. government was like, "All right, what can we do?"
Right. Okay.
I
Fair
I,
enough.
I really don't think Biden was like, "Let's stop this." I really don't. Don't get me wrong. Like, I don't think they're gonna do anything like particularly crazy. I think you're probably gonna get a law that makes it a little difficult for like the average Joe to invest maybe, but I don't think you're gonna see too many, uh, big laws or big, ordinances that are gonna put levies on these companies.
Yeah, I mean, obviously everyone is advocating a what do they say, a 0.1% tax on if you were to trade stocks.
Damn, Harry, what the fuck have you been reading?
Yeah,
Do
I
I
mean,
even need to read to fucking keep up with you? Jesus. You
um,
know, I haven't passed 2nd grade reading yet, for God's sakes, man. I'm
but
still reading Zonk the Tortoise.
okay, good. Let me know how that ends. Um, but yeah, like AOC is one. Some other, new like younger Democratic officials are advocating that too. I mean,
Mhm.
they are saying the way the market is going, if they do tax 0.1% of the market, and imagine 0.1%, that's like if we traded $100 because we don't have money flying out, you know what I mean, we don't have that much money to invest the stock. So if we do, 1.1% isn't really that much to us. We're like, it's not a lot of
Well,
money.
accumulative. That's
Right,
enough money
accumulative.
to make so much money and still not feed all the poor people in this country.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, like,
So,
us to like smaller people who don't invest so much money, it's not a lot. But once you come into, the higher end, the 0.01%, that own like most of the stock market, like
mhm.
I think they're guesstimating, I think in a year they can make about $770 billion from taxing that.
That's just to give everyone a sense of context, that is a little over half of what the proposed stimulus bill would have been.
Yeah,
$1.4 trillion dollars is what the intended, I believe, the first stimulus bill was for $1,200 last March, which is
yeah,
fucking insane.
yeah. So they're estimating in a year they can make about 770. billion off just
Yeah.
taxing basically billionaires making
And
billions of dollars.
see, that's the problem is that as much as I think we would all want that, there's
Mhm.
too much of a push against it. I honestly do think you need to start at the bottom with how these people think. By
Right,
these
but
people, I just mean like the average person with stuff like that.
yeah, and I think I don't know. I like talking politics. I have high hopes for people like AOC and everyone else
Yeah.
who's in the younger generation to actually make a difference in our nation because
Oh
like
yeah.
it's true. Like there's a I wish I still had it, but there is a chart saying that like I think like only like wealth wise 99% of the like less wealth of Americans
Mhm.
only own like 10 or 15% of the stock market.
Yep. It's 10%, only 10% own I'm sorry, 10% own 90% of the stock market or like have control of 90% of the
Yeah.
stock market and its revenue. So yeah, that's pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
And it's like what I was saying with the right and then the middle.
Hmm.
AOC, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, if I could give those wonderful people shout outs.
Yeah.
Um, they represent a wing of the Democratic Party called the Social Democrats. These are people whose main goals are still liberal in value, that are still kind of like uh, we believe more in reforming capitalism. We still exist in it and that kind of thing. Bernie is still what I would he's a democratic socialist, but he whenever he runs, he's on the Democratic ticket.
Right.
These Democrats are far more to the left than the average Democrat, and I've been telling a couple of my friends this, and I'll tell the folks, all three and a half of you listening here. It's important to get uh, institutional cooperation. Like everyone talks about as a leftist, everyone talks about like the revolution, like let's stop this, let's stop that. I think it's far more feasible to work with the current political parties, namely the Democrats, and shift their ideological focus more to our ideology. Um, what that means would be like more consumer protections, more work related protections, um, finding ways for workers to uh, to benefit more from their own consumer labor or benefit more from their own labor,
Hmm.
stuff like that. That is how you would go about this, and it's through people like AOC, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, Bernie Sanders that you can get this. Just like with what was happening with the Democratic Party, or the I'm sorry, the Republican Party.
Hmm.
20 years ago, these fuckers were Reagan Republicans. They were, slightly religious, slightly crazy. 9/11 happened. They got a lot crazier. Not just pointing fingers. Democrats got a little crazy with that too. Um, but it really started with Reagan, where the evangelical right, a lot of extreme fringe groups started inhabiting the Republican Party, much to the way that I'm talking about with leftists for the Democratic Party.
Hmm.
And a lot of it came to a head in 2012 and 2016 when a lot of racist jackasses started asking for President Obama's birth certificate, saying he was from Kenya, saying that Barack Hussein Obama wasn't an American. Oh,
Right.
who's that idiot? Dinesh D'Souza, who was talking about how his Kenyan father, was doing, all this bullshit and how Obama's following in his footsteps. But I'm sorry, I'm off topic. Um, what's going on is you have the right becoming, or at least the Republican Party becoming far more radicalized, far more insular, and far more fucking crazy. And the thing is the Democratic Party isn't moving at all.
Right.
What would be more important would be for leftist groups, progressive groups to prop up progressive and leftist politicians.
Mm.
Because whether or not these things get pushed like, oh, let's increase the minimum wage, let's do this. That's not the most important part. The most important part is to get more and more people in the Democratic Party to the left so that uh, you have a larger opportunity to push leftist goals, leftist agendas, leftist. And I don't mean like a fucking crazy thing like, oh, the leftist agenda. I just mean like fucking proletariat rights. By proletariat, I just mean like workers' rights, human rights, social rights, shit like that. Like no one fucking gives a shit about the bathroom issue because everyone should be able to go whatever fucking bathroom they want. Like this is an
Yeah.
issue that Republicans like to talk about because they're fucking crazy. And it's the same thing with the stock market where it's like everyone tells you to invest, right?
Yeah.
And it's only when you actually like see genuine success that the United States fucking like spray paints on the wall about that you can be successful if you just do the hard work and all this. Well, 1,000 fucking people did a lot of fucking hard work and prevented a fucking company from going out of business. And
Yeah.
if that's not the most American fucking thing I've ever heard of, I don't know what is. But I'll tell you what, I'm going on Twitter, I'm going on fucking CNN, I'm going, well, CNBC, I mean. I'm going on Fox News. I'm hearing about how this is crazy. This is unheard of. This is this is absolutely insane. And you're hearing all these fucking conglomerate corporate corpo jackasses saying, this isn't right. This system is blah blah blah. And it's like, no, you're absolutely right. It is crooked. But the thing is, you've just been manipulating it for yourself.
Yeah.
And the moment like you get played by the people that you lie to about succeeding in this system is the moment you change the rules of the game.
Yeah.
But the players are the same. No. But yeah, so I'll cut my fucking rant. I need to work on fucking making words sound sensier when I speak. But
No,
yeah,
no,
I'm a
I agree.
yeah,
I'm on your side.
fuck.
Fuck.
See, this
um,
is what I hate about being a very poorly educated leftist is it's
uh,
like all you have to say is capitalism sucks because it creates inherent hierarchies and it necessitates the poor.
hmm,
And that's all you have to say. That's all you have to fucking say. And the United States makes it sound like it's socialism when that happens, but it's really just capitalism. That's all. That's all. But my brain likes to fucking talk like I am now. So there,
yeah.
I'm done. I'm finished. I'm done. You're talking for the next 3.5 hours. You hear that?
Okay.
All right.
um,
If I could say one more no, I'm just kidding.
no, I mean, we kind of explained it. You know, you got the gist of it. I went into more detail about the whole thing, and
Smarter
yeah.
detail, you mean, you fucking intelligent bipedal bear?
um, it's just, hey, that's what happens when you do research. When you do your own research, you know, learn
Is
things.
it scary that I was a little aroused by that? Because you were going off on like a really intelligent tangent. I was just like, God damn it. I've never been more of a sapiosexual. Ah, ah, ah,
Yeah, that's I mean, that's literally been everything on Twitter, like you said, on the news and everywhere that we I can't look at something and literally Twitch is I've been talking about it too. I follow a
mhm.
couple people on Twitch and that's the first thing they're talking about. So it's like, it's everywhere right now. You know what they're doing, and to me, like you said, the memes is just so good. Hold the line, hold the stocks, like,
God.
and it's like I'm rooting for them too, dude. I'm like, yeah, dude, if you fucking fuck that, dude. Don't give them any shares, dude. Anyone like
Oh, yeah.
it sucks because a lot of people who, once Robinhood stopped people from being able to buy more stocks, um people actually sold their stocks because that's literally the only
Oh,
option you
yeah.
have. Like you can't buy anything, you have to sell your stocks, and so like
Mhm.
a lot of people did that, and it sucks. Like they should have been like, "Fuck you, I'm keeping my stocks," because it's
Oh, yeah. And, like, there's nothing wrong with, like, selling it, but, like, I can understand where this group of people were like, "You know what? No, we're gonna hold this on principle." Like,
yeah,
let's make one thing clear, folks. If you want to invest in the market, go the fuck ahead.
yeah,
Like you can't have a political like ideology other than capitalism.
Mm-hmm.
and not exist outside of it. So like have your ideology, fucking invest, but the biggest tip that I hear all the time that I've heard before this, that I always say to everyone else, don't invest money that you're not willing to just fucking throw into the garbage like immediately. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's fucking it.
Yep. Um.
So
No, yeah, you're right. I mean, you should never. You're basically gambling. You're
fuck yeah.
gambling.
I
Money.
mean, at least there's like a fucking percentage average. I mean, with the stock market, you might as well be throwing a fucking dart down the fucking Yosemite cliff and hoping
Yep.
it fucking hits someone in the eye.
Yeah. Like I was saying, the guy who invested over $50,000 in GameStop, like this person was doing it since last year.
Mhm.
They're just people on Reddit were giving him shit because he was throwing money at GameStop, and they're saying, "Dude, you're wasting your money. Why are you keep putting in money in this company that's just dying?"
I
You
mean,
know?
you gotta be really clear though. It's all contextual because up until
Yeah.
that point, he
Yeah.
was fucking wasting his money.
Oh,
Like
100%.
unless
Well,
unless this guy is that dude who foresaw the stock market crash in '08, like
yeah.
who through just sheer fucking math willpower was like, "Oh, I see. So a couple
Mm,
redditors are going to like fucking bump up the stock artificially and ruin
mm.
a couple companies." Like then you are throwing your money away. Like it's literally timing and like
Well,
a shot in the
so
dark.
uh some research behind that person in the GameStop stocks.
Mhm.
This happened obviously afterwards, but there was
Here we go again,
the
guys.
owner the owner of what is it? Chewy.com, right? I believe
Chewy,
Chewy.com.
I'm believe you and on blah, blah, blah. I'm defer to you on that.
The owner of Chewy.com actually bought and owned 9% of GameStop and actually announced some things that they're planning to do with the company. They wanted to turn it and make it into a competitor against, I think, Amazon. Um,
What?
and yeah, and some other ways, and I think other companies too. That's what they're aiming for, right? That's why they put their shit. That's why they started owning GameStop itself. And then you didn't hear nothing much. A few months later, though, they announced that same person bought more of GameStop. So
Hmm.
now instead of 9%, they owned 13%.
Oh
And
wow.
so at that point is when the Redditors started talking. I believe that's when the Redditors started talking about GameStop. And
We
that's
can
when
do
they,
this, guys.
and
If we
that's
all
when
rush at once.
I think they were doing it just because, like, wow, this guy who's been investing money, maybe he has the right idea. Maybe he knows there's something going on. And I believe from there, don't quote me, I could be wrong. But from there, I think that's when they started just buying up all the stock. And they, obviously, that's when that's when everything happened. They're just like, fuck that. Like, we're going to keep this fucking shares. Like, it's only going up, you know? And then obviously, fight the power, hold the line memes and shit. So
Oh
it's like,
yeah.
yeah, like maybe this person did know, that
Hmm.
GameStop is a big name. Everyone knows GameStop.
I wonder what this is going to do. I wonder like how much money they're going to have to work with in
Mm-hmm.
between now and when the bubble collapses. Because I mean, like I
Yeah.
said before, this shit is artificial as fuck, and this does not
Yeah.
mean like anything. Like in the next week, they could be resuming the same downward trend.
Yep.
Hopefully not. Like, I mean, I don't give a shit about GameStop. Like the turning in your games for like 25 cents joke still applies. And I can't believe I'm fucking cheering on for a company, but like when you hear it in context with like conservative media and like lib media, and they're like talking about how fucking crazy this is that all these like average people are doing this, it makes me want to defend it. Not that I should, but like
Mm-hmm.
almost like, hey, it's an extra company that's out and it still has jobs. And it's like, what the fuck are you complaining about? This company literally got brought from the brink of destruction.
Yeah.
So like
So I'm looking
but
at the stock, the GameStop stock now. So it was as low as earlier this year, January 4th, $17.
oh wow. How much
So
is now? About 250, 300?
so right now it's sitting at 193.
Oh wow.
But it shot up uh
When you refreshed
to,
it.
today at 10 a.m. It was up to $469.
Damn.
And when Robinhood started shutting everything down, where
Hmm.
people couldn't buy anymore, it fucking shot down to 132. So it shot back up, obviously, but it's like Robinhood knew that the price was only going to go up.
Hmm.
That thing was only going to shoot upwards. And that's why they had to stop it. But again, that's at that point it is no longer fair trade.
Oh yeah, exactly.
So politicians, like we're saying, everyone that we named, are going to look into it. And I don't know if people will be doing jail time, but I think they should. I think they should implement some sort of form of like, hey, if you're gonna have fair trade, then keep it fair trade. Don't none of this fucking bullshit of
Hmm.
stopping people from being able to invest. If they want to invest and they're playing you in your own fucking game, that's on you. Don't play the hair. Oh, don't. Oh God, I fucking miss. I fucked that up so bad. Don't hate the player, hate the game. All right. But
See,
yeah.
that's what I listen. I hope that'll happen because I think that's the first step to like introducing a fair market for everyone.
Hmm.
But I do have my concerns. Like I'm
Right.
worried that fucking the White House will come down on this in a different way and it'll push for legislation that'll probably impact us negatively.
Mm.
Like, oh, we're gonna prevent like uh you from buying this amount of stock all at once or whatever. But I'm just worried that the hammer is going to come down and it's going to be less of a sweeping regulation and more of like uh, a collar for the average consumer and for the average investor.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. We won't know until we'll see what happens, but yeah, we're always gonna hope for the best. I know everyone's super hyped with Biden and stuff, but to me, I'm always like, hey, in the end, they're all fucking politicians, dude.
Yeah,
You
well,
know,
it's like what I was saying with center and right. It's like Biden's doing pretty some really good stuff. I know that a lot of leftists don't want to be like, yeah, or he's pretty good, because it's like a lot of leftists are like, oh hey, you're actually like vindicating these people who are to the right of us. You must be a live. No, it's like if the guy's doing a lot of pro consumer and pro proletariat, pro worker shit, then that's good. You want to praise that. You want to say like, hey, that's good.
yeah,
But at the end of the day, he's still a neoliberal president who is upholding capitalism. Like there's only so much he can reform. And I mean reform because there's no instance where Joseph R. Biden is going to be like, I think we should introduce market socialism. It's
hmm,
going to have to be gradual. It's going to happen over a long period of time with a lot of hard work. And market socialism is just the first step. So
yeah,
that, and like you were saying, it's like, and even with AOC, like I was saying, it's like AOC is a progressive, but she still acts within the capitalist framework. She wants to reform the system, um, which, if it were up to her, I think it would probably be not probably up to her, but social democrats want to essentially reform the capitalist system to be something more in the way of like Sweden and Finland, where they're social
hmm,
democracies. They're as close to like a neutered capitalism that allows for a lot of um economic mobility. Like a
hmm,
lot of it. Like a lot. But yeah, so that's what disappoints me is that
hmm,
this could go either way and we could get the wrong message from it. Because fucking 10 years ago, well, 13 years ago,
yeah,
like these fuckers didn't go to prison. Hold on, let me not they this. the large investment banks that merged the fuck out of each other and performed like these credit default swaps and merged all this
Mhm.
fucking shit
Mhm.
together over the last 40, 50 years didn't go to prison. The
Right.
CEOs didn't do shit. Uh, they fucking consolidated all their money and they didn't get a fucking hand ring at all.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I hope that it goes the way that you're saying, Bear. I
Right.
really do. But just given how everything is before, I wouldn't be surprised if, this was taken the wrong way.
Yeah, and that's honestly something that we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I have nothing else to say for this topic personally. I think
Yeah,
we
fuck
kind of
this topic.
threw everything out there.
And the
Unless
kitchen sink.
unless you have something else you want to put in there. No.
Buh,
Okay, perfect. Uh, we did have a new episode of WandaVision last
no!
week. No.
No!
Okay.
Alright, we'll do WandaVision.
Okay.
It's like I was saying last year, or last year. It was almost last year ago. It's one of the things that I fucking hate is new episodes of WandaVision are fucking Friday, and we record these every Thursday night.
yeah, that's a little downside. We have to like wait a whole week. Yeah, I'm like trying to remember what happened.
I fucking remember. I could tell you that shit right off the bat.
I do. I will say that I was on Twitter and someone wrote something. You know that where Vision basically clips back to Vision talking about something, and it kind of
Yeah,
catches you off
and then
guard.
Wanda kind of resets
Yes.
the environment. Yeah.
Yeah. So someone on Twitter like kind of spoiled it, and I couldn't tell if they're being serious or if they're like joking and like just trying to fuck with people, you know? So I
Mhm.
was going into watching the episode being like, okay, I'm going to watch this episode expecting this to happen. And then two things, like, in the end, I lose either way. One, when it happens, I'm going to be like, fuck, I saw that coming. Or two, if it doesn't happen, I'm going to be sitting there the entire episode waiting for that shit to happen and it won't happen. Then I'm like, fuck. You know what I mean?
I was lied to.
Yeah,
I was
exactly.
expecting it, the anticipation build up, and it was ruined.
Exactly. So, I mean, I got through it. I saw it. It happened. I said, "Oh well, fuck." But yeah. You go first. Your thoughts.
So for the let me give me 1 second. Let me readjust. So for the synopsis, episode 3, titled, I forget the title. Uh, the setting is kind of like mid 70s, Brady Bunch themed. I'm guessing like the 80s themed is going to be the Roseanne series. I don't fucking know. Anyway, uh, Wanda and Vision are expecting children, uh, and Wanda goes into labor. Vision goes, grabs the doctor. In the meantime, a couple of comedy related shenanigans happens while Monica Rambeau, aka shit, what's her name? Um, Geraldine enters the WandaVision estate, and she helps Wanda give birth. Vision comes with the doctor. Wanda gives birth to twins, Tommy and Billy, aka, if I'm remembering them right, Speed and Wiccan. I don't know if it's respectively. I don't know their alter ego names. Um, while Vision is outside,
Mhm.
Geraldine, aka Monica Rambeau, and Wanda have a conversation. Wanda gets triggered by the conversation leading to her uh, belated brother, and she forces Geraldine, aka Monica Rambeau, out of the TV dimension.
Mhm.
Excuse me. Um, couple of highlights. The sense of tension I think is really good in the
Yeah.
end. Uh, fucking Elizabeth Olsen's killing it, absolutely killing it. This is the first episode, mainly in the end, where we get a sense that uh, Wanda isn't quite as I don't want to say she's like bad, a little more unhinged, I would say.
Mhm, mhm.
She's just given birth. Monica Rambeau, Geraldine mentions Pietro, or talks
Yes.
about how Ultron killed Pietro, and the entire 70s theme just stops, and
Yeah.
Wanda just starts pressuring Geraldine as to why she said that, and that's a really good build up. And the next scene is Vision entering the house asking where Geraldine is, and she's not in sight, and she says she went home. And the ending shot is outside of the TV realm, whatever's going on, of her getting thrown outside, and a bunch of what I can imagine are like sword and shield agents like acclimating around her.
Yeah.
They've introduced two of the new superheroes, or at least the kid versions of them, Speed and Wiccan. Speed and Wiccan are two of, I believe, in the comic books. Again, I haven't read much of any comic books, but I know some of them vaguely from friends and my own, like, oh, who are these people kind of thing. Speed is kind of like Quicksilver. He's super fucking fast. And Wiccan is, I think, the more interesting one. He can kind of create objects.
Mm.
Another Twitter thingy that I was noticing that you were probably talking about as well is Wiccan might have been the one generating the shenanigans happening when Geraldine and Wanda were in the house together, because she goes into labor or her water breaks, then Geraldine comes and Wanda has to pretend that she's not pregnant, and when that fails, uh Geraldine helps her give birth, but while she's trying to hide her pregnancy, this stork is fucking around the house and she keeps trying to disappear it, except it's not disappearing. Um
Right.
so that might be Wiccan who's creating the stork while in utero. Um, Paul Bettany, I don't think he gets enough screen time. I'm not saying he's deprived. I mean, he doesn't really get enough screen time to do anything. Um, he he has a couple of really good comedic moments. He goes to grab the doctor. Some more of the mystery is unfolded a bit. Some of the
Yeah.
dialogue. The doctor that they go get mentions, "Oh, it's so hard to get out of this small town. Always so hard to escape."
Yeah.
The neighbor is like sawing at the
Yeah.
concrete like wall, and Vision's like, "Hey, Herb, trimming a little close to the hedge." It's like, "Oh, if you're right, Vision," and he keeps going. And then when Wanda gives birth and he goes outside to see the doctor out. What is her name? Agatha. Agatha and Herb are there
Yeah.
talking about Geraldine. So I get the impression, if I may, if I could stir the pot with you on a theory
Mhm,
after I
mhm.
talk about it. Everyone in the neighborhood, I think, is trapped in there, and they have to play along,
Oh.
with the exception of Agatha, I think. Um, So Geraldine, aka Monica Rambeau, I keep saying this. It's important that I specify. Monica Rambeau is a sword agent. Um, she uh kind of inherits, I think, Captain Marvel's like kind of powers or something along those lines. But she's a superhero, and they keep talking about how she's not from the neighborhood. She's not from this area. She doesn't have a house. So she, I think, given that she's part of Sword and was expelled, she went in to investigate sometime around episode 2, which is when she's introduced. But everyone there is kind of playing this part, and then Agatha, I think, has more to do with it. I think there's more to this one character that they're letting on, because
Mm,
she's in every single episode, whereas some of the
mhm.
other minor bit players aren't. She's the only one who recurs in all 3 episodes, with a relatively substantive part.
Yeah.
Um, there are a lot of people saying that like Mephisto is behind a lot of this. Mephisto's a popular MC or Marvel character, some affiliations to like Ghost Rider and a couple other villains and heroes.
Mm.
I don't really know all that much. Again, but it's interesting to see that that the mask is kind of sliding off a bit. This perfect world that Wanda's creating, or I don't know, or is manipulating, is starting to crack a lot more.
Yeah.
All you bear, what do you want to see from this show? What are your hopes and dreams? When you go to sleep at night, what do you think?
Um, I don't really know. I want more Paul Rudd.
Oh man. See, that's the thing is that you're not looking hard enough. He's been there the whole time.
Oh, you're right, because he's Ant-Man. He's tiny.
Yeah. He's been inside of Vision's anus now.
Got it. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know what can come. Like, I guess one thing that I would love to see is the X-Men, but
Mhm.
I know I don't. That's
You
not
just wanna
happening,
see
right?
fucking Beast come in there, and they're like, "Oh, fuck, what the fuck is this hairy thing doing?" He's like, "Relax, I'm a scientist."
Yeah, exactly. Uh,
No, I get you.
yeah, like,
Um, yeah,
yeah.
no, sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, go
It
ahead, go
just,
ahead.
I think it would be nice to see, like, obviously this is not just WandaVision, this is just the Marvel universe in general, but having the X-Men there, that's you know, another one would be again outside of WandaVision would be more Venom. I think
Mhm,
Venom was cool, but I want more, want
mhm.
better, and the tease of Carnage was great, and who they got to play as Carnage, oh, so
Patty
good.
talking, yeah.
Yeah. So MCU wise, like I want that.
Mhm.
WandaVision wise, I'm intrigued enough to be like, okay, I'm gonna watch the next episode because it looks fucking good.
Oh,
Um.
yeah. I'm
Uh.
I think, I don't have many criticisms, but I think any criticisms I might develop are going to have to come after the end of this series when everything is said and done,
Mhm.
because I think they have a phenomenal mystery, and we've mentioned this last week.
Yeah.
The mystery, I think, is the very refreshing aspect of this, and it's all about how I think it's handled that's going to be important to the legacy of this little season.
Yeah.
And as you were saying, I completely agree with you on X-Men. I honestly think Fantastic Four to a far lesser extent, but I
Mhm.
definitely think X-Men could rejuvenate the franchise in another direction. Because whenever I think of X-Men, I always think of X-Men not necessarily as their own thing, but the X-Men literally had their own cartoon. It was the most successful thing out of all of it, out of all the fucking 90s trash that Marvel tried to do.
Mhm.
You could and they already have a gigantic film franchise around them too. You
Yeah.
could literally make like 8 movies just about fucking building up to like Apocalypse, just like what they did with Thanos, or
Yeah.
any of the time traveling bullshit that they did. You could do some of that, and inserting that with the Avengers and some of the other like Marvel pantheon characters in general. Come on, like um like Corsair. Corsair is Cyclops' father, and he's a fucking space pirate.
Huh.
Like, seriously? Are you telling me they can't fucking name drop well, they can now. Are you telling me they can't fucking name drop Corsair in Guardians of the Galaxy 3? Or, like, what kills me is that there are so many opportunities to introduce the X-Men. One of the things that I thought would have been really interesting is if Wanda had a say in it.
Mm.
At one point in the comics, Wanda just fucking, like, disappears and kills all of the mutants. and she's like, I want or I wish for no mutants or some fucking bullshit like that, where it's like there's this powerful moment where she's like, no more mutants, and they're just all gone. I really thought it would have been interesting if like
Huh.
at the end of WandaVision, there's this really powerful moment where like in a nice reversal, she like released this blast of fucking radiation or whatever that creates the mutants.
Oh.
Or just fucking go based off of the snap. So you remember in Endgame when they're
Yes.
looking for Thanos
Yeah.
and they say, "Oh, we found him because there was a massive amount of radiation that was like coming from this planet."
Mm-hmm.
Well, now the radiation is fucking causing mutations all throughout the galaxy. And now you can introduce every single one of these characters in a different way. I mean,
Oh.
maybe you have to introduce like Wolverine differently and
Yeah.
a lot of other characters differently, but like you could do something so fascinating where it's like the destruction of the Infinity Stones in their universe and that like radiation wave
Yeah.
immediately creates all the mutants, and fucking Professor X and Eric Lencher emerge from that as the two powerhouses representing like the mutant cause.
Yeah.
And
That makes sense.
there's a lot of talk about like Giancarlo Esposito or like two black actors playing Professor X and Magneto, and I think that'd be fucking cool. Like you can literally kind of parallel, well, maybe not, because I think a lot of people go really heavy-handed on the Malcolm X parallels as like a heavy-handed violent guy, and I don't think that's the case. But like
Mm-hmm.
I guess you could make like a an MLK kind of Malcolm X parable, or like you could have these two. The dynamic is completely different, where it's like you don't have to make Professor X like an old man. You don't have to make uh Magneto this older man. You still, I think, in my opinion, have to keep in the prejudice and the pain that comes from that prejudice. I think so long as you preserve the idea of the character, like Magneto, a guy who's so wrapped up in his hate, uh, and someone like Charles Xavier, this arrogant, hyper intelligent man who thinks he knows best. Like, as long as you get that main focus or that main ground down uh, idea of what the character is, it's fine. I really don't care.
Yeah.
You can go any fucking direction you want with any of the characters, so long as like you have the basic template and you know where you want to go with it, and that's all.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that actually it's an easy form to, like you said, get the X-Men involved in the
Hmm.
MCU. Um, I'd be super stoked for that. I mean, I know they have like a, what is it like? Basically what they did with Endgame. Have like this path of like movies. Going to the next thing, and
Hmm.
it's like I hope the X-Men are involved. Um,
Oh yeah,
yeah. So like
I
it
could see
would.
that in like 5 years. Yeah.
Yeah, it sucks to not have what's his face is Wolverine, and it'll be hard to replace him. Like since that's been literally the only person we've seen as Wolverine for you know years now. It's
Hmm.
hard to see someone. It's like, I mean, yeah, we had Fantastic Four, and that was like what, two movies, and we're kind of just like whatever about it. Like,
Three.
was it three
Ugh.
movies? No, but same actors though.
Oh yeah. So yeah, it was two
Yeah,
different franchises. So it was Fantastic Four and Fan Four Stick.
yeah. So not a huge thing, but like literally Wolverine is in how many movies? He had his own standalone one. He had two, right?
He has
X.
three. He has X-Men Origins Wolverine, he has the
Oh
Wolverine,
yeah,
and he has Logan. And they
right.
all go from fucking dog shit to not bad to damn, this is what a fucking superhero movie should be.
Yeah, Logan has definitely made me be like, I would love for every Marvel movie to be rated R. I'm.
Well, see, that's what we were talking about with like genre bending, where it's like
Mm-hmm.
Logan is less X-Men and more like more neo-Western. And that works. It's like just take the Western format and just give it adamantium claws, and it's perfect.
Mm-mm.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
So.
get the nice young Avengers where they're like there isn't any blood and just get some fucking dude's head cut off.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, that work. That
It'll
work.
work. It'll work. It'll work. Um, we had a third topic we're going to talk about.
Yes, we
I
did.
will.
Do we still want to talk about it?
I don't see
If
why
you
not.
want,
We are only an
we
hour
could
into our podcast.
go through only an hour, he says, when we fucking cut like an hour and a half in. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. One of the things that we've been wanting to talk about, I don't know if we mentioned it in the podcast, was video essays and video essayists.
Hmm.
Um, I tend to like some of the more popular ones. I as I was thinking of podcasters or YouTubers to like shout, I was like, well, one, there are only 3.5 people watching, so it's not like I'm going to be contributing more or less to like a large or a small content creator. Uh,
Hmm.
so I feel less bad about it now. But having said that, we were going to go over a couple of YouTube video essayists that we really enjoy, who can who make consistently good videos from a variety of topics. Uh, I noticed as I compiled a bunch myself that a couple of these guys are leftists and part of BreadTube. Again, like I said, the kind of community that we want to like generate are not creepy like right wing incels. So if you have a problem with like trans people, BLM or shit like that, you know where the fucking virtual door is. Um, so we just wanted to talk about like a couple of ones that we liked, mainly their like film and like movie review stuff, but other ones are kind of like mixed and other ones are a little like social and political issues. Oh, Harry, do you have any recommendations?
Me, my favorite right now, because their main topic is video games. Is Jacob Geller,
Okay.
Geller, mainly on YouTube. The way he goes into his video games, and he goes from one video game to another to another to another, and obviously he brings, like, if you watch his videos in succession, he like brings topics that he's talked about last video he put out or the video before, and he brings it to kind of describe what he's talking about in this current video. And I believe I sent you a video of him talking about Shadow of the Colossus.
Yes.
Yes, that him. So he's one that I've really been into. His videos are longer, obviously, because it's a video essay. They're about 20 plus minutes. But
Hmm.
they're really good. I love his insight in like just the way he looks at video games. Um, just the beauty behind it, not just if it's a like, oh, it plays well. It's more about how does it look, how does it
Right.
sound, how does it feel, the atmosphere behind the game, like where most people look into games, like you really think, oh, the gameplay, the mechanics, and all this stuff, which is, that's what games are mainly about, right? But
Hmm.
there are definitely games out there that are fucking beautiful in other ways, not just mechanically, not just, um, gameplay wise, it's visually, musically. And I think that's
Oh yeah.
something that, I've been appreciating with other games that, I've been replaying, or new games I've been playing. Like, it gives me an example of like Call of Duty. Like, Call of Duty is so, I don't know, like it's so generic. Like, I 100% turn off the music. Like, I don't play Call of
Yeah.
Duty with music anymore.
It's like we were saying. I think
mm,
a lot of Call of Duty is kind of relying on the fumes of its former franchise.
Yeah. So I
Where
mean,
it's like a lot of effort is no longer put into it simply because the name can make the money and the
yeah,
quality of the game falters for it.
yeah, and like I think I mean he does talk about older Call of Duty. Like he talks about when he used to play Modern Warfare 2 back in the day, and that's what really gets me. He like describes bigger games and describes certain parts of that game that goes into the main game that he's going to talk about, and it's great. He goes, you know, the way he transitions, the way he maneuvers through his topics like leads to the main focus, and it just kind of grabs you. And obviously his voice, the tone, and like he doesn't talk really fast. He's a very slow talker, but it's the things it's soothing. You know, you're in for a ride, and then
Oh
you
yeah.
know, yeah.
We're right in your ear. This is KWN, the boner.
The boner, perfect. But yeah, Jacob Geller. I will put the link to his YouTube channel in the description of
Hmm.
the video and all that shit. So
Way to plug in. Yeah,
mhm,
he's a small time YouTuber, so he could really use your help.
right. You
Okay, one that I have, I again maybe think maybe a little more established. I'm not sure. I wasn't checking the subscriber count. Is Game Maker Toolkit. Game Maker Toolkit typically makes like I think what I can call like an average of like 15-minute to 20-minute videos. He'll usually take a subject from uh, a game or like a mechanic and how it works, what it means for like gaming, what other like mechanics from games, why they're important, if they're important at all, and what other studios can learn from something like that and how it applies to gameplay. Um, just as an example, he talks about one of the videos is called "The Genius of Prey's Glue Gun," and he talks about how it like alters verticality and it changes how the player can view the map and uh, how to attack it and how to like move around it.
mhm,
He addresses stuff like sound design, storytelling, game design, really important aspects on what makes a game specifically successful and like what aspects of it work. Like, oh, let's talk about things that don't work in open world games or what do, or I'm scrolling through now and he's like talking about like roguelikes, um, what makes them so engaging, like the replayability factor. Um, Stuff like that I think is really important and really interesting when it comes to a YouTuber who consistently talks about like uh, modern gaming mechanics that are used and how they're like beneficial or detrimental and how they can be maneuvered and all that stuff.
mhm.
But yeah,
Um, how did you
yeah.
want it? Do you want it? You go one, I go one. Do we want to see
If you
like
want, it's up to you. If you have another one, go ahead, Harry. This is a free fucking country.
All right, so we both talked about people who do video games. I'm gonna go with someone that does cinema. Mainly cinema, some art and some other stuff. I'm gonna go with Nerdwriter. He's a very popular video essay person.
Nerd
Um
Writer fucking Uno.
yeah. He is great. I think when I brought him up to you one time, you I think were already aware of him. So
Hmm.
yeah, so he's every video he comes out with, they're short. They're, you know, under 10 minutes usually.
Yeah,
Um
they're an average of like 8 minutes.
yeah, so and they're great. Like they capture me, you know, as soon as the video starts, I'm already intrigued in what, you know, they're going to be talking about and stuff. So
Hmm.
he's one that I'm sure you and I can agree that I would highly recommend checking out. I think one of my favorite videos of his was when he talks about Ian McKellen's eyes in Lord of the Rings.
Right.
That one I think was one of the first ones that I saw of his,
Hmm.
and it got me. Yeah, how Ian McKellen acts with his eyes, like
Hmm.
that video's fantastic. The other one that I really liked was he does a video essay about Nirvana's song Ollie, I believe. No, what is it called?
Yes,
Yes, that one.
Nirvana's darkest song.
Yes, there you go. That one. That's another video essay that I really really like too. Those two are probably my favorite. I
Hmm.
the just because I love Lord of the Rings, I'd go with that one number one though. But all of his videos are great.
Hmm.
He really goes around everywhere. Obviously,
He has a very broad spectrum. If so, for you, it was the shit. What was the one that we were talking about that got you into how Ian McKellen acts with his eyes?
yeah.
I actually, if you go all the way down, I actually started with one 4 years ago about Anthony Hopkins. So so that we know we're all on the same topic.
Mhm.
Nerdwriter will take a technique an actor uses, breaks it down, um, talks about like the filming techniques used, things that contribute to filming. Other ones he'll do are explaining why a movie's particularly impressive. Not that it's good or bad or anything, but like what makes some of the camera work, sound design, acting, the writing itself good. He also talks a lot about like some phenomena, like
Mm.
art, um, music, but it's all coming from a point of like mechanical, like what about it makes it impressive. One of the ones that I've always appreciated is how David Fincher hijacks your eyes, and he breaks down like what makes David Fincher's directing style so or not impressive, but
Mhm.
visually appealing for his point of view. And he does it in all of this is along with Game Maker's Toolkit and along with the aforementioned one. These are all, I believe, scripted videos. So he's very clear, very straightforward with his dialogue. Um, a lot of what you see on the screen conveys very well what he's saying too. So yeah.
So you're next to recommend someone.
Okay. So let's see. We did games and we did movies and art. So let's do a similar YouTube movie fellow person. I don't know how varied in my like descriptions I can be from now on. Um, Just Right.
Mhm.
Um, Just Right is that's not fair. Just Right is another writer, is another YouTuber and video essayist who does a lot of like movies and television, breaks down typically from like a writer's standpoint what makes something like
In one of
good
the
or
first
like
videos,
what some of the problems are around it. Like one of the really good ones that he did recently was addressing uh, the disconnect between the book Limitless and the film and television series Limitless. How the book is a story on like the pitfalls of capitalism,
Okay.
um, but how the movie is essentially the exact opposite. How it's like, oh, you can succeed, you can like you just need a smart pill and it'll help you and you'll conquer the world and that's it. And there's no problem to it. There's no point. It countermands the entire point of the story. He has some really interesting takes on Game of Thrones. He does a really good one on Star Wars the Rise of Skywalker.
Mhm.
Uh let's see. Let me find another one of his videos that I really do enjoy. As a fan of Knives Out, he does a really good breakdown of like uh what makes Knives Out particularly impressive, i.e., like it's a genre bending story, and it's not just genre bending; it's literally the flip of a dime, two genres in one that works almost flawlessly. Um, but again, I'm probably creating a pattern here, but the idea is that all of these video essays that we're talking about at the moment are kind of like breaking down for the average viewer techniques that you can use in writing or filmmaking, They're all very easy to get behind, and if you're ever having trouble writing, or if you're ever having a hard time figuring out stories that you want to develop for yourself, I think these are probably not like the best for figuring out like a template wise, but they give you a sense of like what you might want to do.
Agreed.
So, do
Um,
you have another one, Bear, or do you want me
I
to
have
to
I have
field it?
I have two more.
You have two more. Jesus
One's
fucking Christ.
one's smaller, very
Niche.
niche. The other one, another popular one. So I'm gonna go with the smaller. His name's Ristic Studies. Specifically for Magic, the Gathering stuff.
Nerd.
Yeah. Great, great video
Oh, they even
essay.
spell their name like an asshole.
Yeah.
RHYSTIC. I'm sorry. I'm just joking, Ristic Studies. For all three people who are gonna tattle on me, I think the name is pretty cool.
It just mainly talks about um magic
Theros,
lore.
Theros, I see Theros.
There you go. Yeah, it talks about magic lore throughout the years actually almost I think 25 years, yeah, already um of just magic and mainly art, specific artists,
Mhm,
and then other like he's in a couple of videos of specific like cards in
mhm,
magic history. Another he has one that's actually really good. It's his longest one. It's about the framing of the magic cards, how it's changed over the 25 years.
We're
Yeah.
gonna talk about this over 25 period, the framing. So
Yeah.
the borders around here used to be white, but then over the years they became black, and I don't know when that happened. I'm kidding. Ristic studies. I've never seen any of your stuff. I'm being silly for attention.
But yeah, I definitely want to give a shout out to him because he is the one who got me into Jacob Geller, Nerdwriter, and so on. And
Nice.
yeah, so obviously I started off with just seeing his stuff with Magic, and I'm like, man, this is great. Like I love these like video essays that he's doing. And then I followed him on Twitter, and he's just like, hey, check out these other people who do video essays. And I'm like, wait, there's people who do other video essays? And that's where I got into, that stuff. So yeah, I highly recommend him. He's, yeah, if you're into Magic, um, and you want to hear some lore behind not just um, you know, just the Magic artists, but
Mhm,
also like certain cards that just like changed Magic gameplay in in history.
mhm.
Yeah, he talks about, I would say, the big artist John Avon, uh, in a couple of videos. And
Okay.
I think my favorite artist, Raymond Swanland, but I call him the Swan Man.
Ron
uh
Swanson. Yeah,
yeah,
he's a good one.
Swanson. Niels Ham is another great artist that he does an essay on. But yeah, like he talks about Lightning Bolt, the card. It's that's a fantastic video that I would recommend. One of the most iconic Magic cards, in history. uh, being an alpha card and then still be printed now. Uh, it's a great video.
Okay.
Yeah, Ristic Studies, check them out.
Yeah, that fuckers check it out. So I have a couple of mentions. I'm gonna try to go through these guys as quickly as possible. So two that I'd like to pair together. Actually, three. My apologies.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Melina Pendulum. Second, I'm typing it in. Melina Pendulum. She is a black queer video essayist who kind of breaks down like pop culture from the LGBTQ lens.
Mm.
And the person of color lens. Really interesting. Her latest video has to deal with like uh our kind of fascination with character redemption arcs and
Oh.
how they can be a little antiquated. They don't necessarily work in the way that we want them to, and like there's a starvation for like genuine character growth over like, oh well, we like this character, we want them to like be redeemed, so let's just redeem them. I'm not doing them any service by just wording what I say. So whatever. The next one's going to be Lindsay Ellis. Similar, she goes over really interesting topics, like specific topics, and breaks down the history behind it. Like she is like this degree in like Disney. Like I'm not even fucking kidding. Like this Disney like background. So one of the things she talks about a lot is Disney and some of its like shady corporate stuff. And like one of the videos that she literally just talks about is how Robin Williams had a falling out with Disney because Disney overmarket or used his name to market toys.
Mm.
Um she comes from the same line as what we're all talking about. She breaks down pop culture and film. Um she does give kind of like a this is the first act, this is the second act, kind of like a discussion on how these films work and whatnot. But a lot of it is taking a subject and kind of dissecting the things around it. Like one of her later videos or earliest one of her latest videos, Jesus Christ, is basically about a lawsuit in Wolf Kink erotica fan fiction. I'm
Mm.
not even kidding. Um, if you haven't heard of it, look up Lindsay Ellis Omegaverse and sit your ass down because that shit's a wild fucking ride. It is so goddamn funny and sad at the same time. But it raises a lot of like legal questions, a lot of fanfic related questions and shit like that. And then there's Maggie Mayfish. Maggie Mayfish again breaks down uh movies and kind of interprets them in a very interesting in way. I like a lot of her videos because she tends to come at things I think a little harder than Lindsay Ellis and Melina Pendulum. She is very unabashed in her opinion. She's very eloquent. All three of these video essayists are scripted too, I believe.
Mm.
Um, let's see. Collect myself. No when, no want, no worries. So the next three I have are Filmento, Filmjoy, and oh fuck, I forgot his name. We're not going to say it. So Filmento is for anyone who wants just like a copy and paste tutorial on how to make a fucking story, go to this guy. This guy like has a good sense of humor, scripted. He talks about fucking everything. He'll talk about like why this movie was a success or not why it was a success, but like he'll use it as a framework for how you should frame your movie or how you could frame your movie. Like Days of Future Past, how time builds great movies, or like let's see, Green Lantern, how to fail at Iron Man. Like this shit sounds funny, but like when you watch it, he breaks down what about this movie has good qualities and how to fucking Frankenstein that shit into like something that you want to make. Like how to introduce a villain, and he uses Seven, and he essentially talks about how like you show the things that he does and you show how elusive this character is and all these other qualities, and when you finally
Mm.
introduce him, the counterance is what's important because he's not Satan or whatever the fuck he says.
Mm.
um Filmento, and then Filmjoy again. I'm beating a fucking dead horse with a stick right now. Filmjoy does the same thing. Filmjoy comes at a lot of these videos in a far more, uh, I think, abstract kind of way. If I could put it bluntly, like not bluntly, if I could put it as plainly as possible, he'll talk about something and it's got a little more gush than Filmento. Filmento's very straightforward, like, oh, if you want to
Mm.
do this, maybe like talk about how this and this and this happens. But when Filmjoy talks about a film, there's a lot of reverence in his voice. I remember the first video of his that I watched was on Guillermo del Toro's Pacific Rim. And
Hmm.
I enjoyed it, but he made me enjoy the film a lot more when he put it in the context that he did when he was speaking of it. Um, so I apologize, folks. I know Harry's done. I don't want to bore him anymore. I've got a couple
No,
more. I
go
have
for it.
one specific YouTuber that I really like. This guy is probably going to piss a couple people off, or maybe not, but his name is Nando V Movies. Nando V Movies takes movies that he didn't care for, movies that probably didn't perform, like science fiction, superhero movies, and he essentially finds one thing that didn't work. One thing that he thinks kind of like dragged or bogged the movie down, and he replaces it or removes it entirely or adds upon it. Um, he's done a couple rewrites. He's done one for Justice League and The Rise of Skywalker. It's pardon. I mean, it's immensely better. But that being said, he'll do something like uh what am I saying? How Quicksilver broke speed. Like he breaks down like, okay, well the film version of the Quicksilver isn't really a speedster, he's more of a time bender. Um that's uh that's just whatever. But all things said and done, he'll take a movie like, let's take Glass. Glass is a movie that I really, really, really wanted to succeed and it didn't. He'll take something in that isn't working, remove it, replace it, or whatever. And he has a scripted video where he uses the footage from the film and he kind of like ad libs a bit of dialogue, but essentially the framework of the movie, the skeleton is what he discusses. He doesn't go into much detail. They're usually about 15 to 20 minutes in average. Like the trouble with Talos, like the character from Captain Marvel, he discusses subverting expectation. All this is all like his niche uh YouTube little corner. He'll take something and he'll create an entire new like little jigsaw puzzle piece that fits into the movie.
Hmm.
For anyone who just fucking wants to watch Nando, I do recommend. He also provides instructions on how to go about like telling your story.
Hmm.
Um like the first, just to give an example, the first video that I watched of his
Mm-hmm.
that I thought was really good was Aquaman.
Hmm.
Um one of the things, the one change he says is for anyone who doesn't know about Aquaman, the two villains are in cahoots together. Um, the what is it? Fucking Christ, why am I? Um, Harry, help me out
Yeah.
here, man. I'm stuttering. One of the things that he says is the Ocean Master and not the Submariner. Jesus, that's Namer. Black Manta.
Hmm.
One of the things that he points out is that these two being in cahoots together doesn't do either of its villains any justice. He points out that one, the idea of this, geez, I keep wanting to say the Submariner. The idea of Black Manta, uh, essentially acting as a B plot villain who is pushing the plot enough to get our characters moving is more important than him being a lackey.
Okay.
It also makes Ocean Master more sympathetic. If he doesn't, again, spoiler alert, he stages a prominent attack um, on Atlantis by Black Manta, as in they're in cahoots together, to trigger a war with the surface world. If Ocean Master isn't in cahoots with Black Manta, it makes Ocean Master far more sympathetic as a villain, and it makes the argument far more compelling because it also
Mm-hmm.
makes Black Manta more of a badass that he finds Atlantis and fucking tries to attack it. it makes Black Manta more threatening of a villain, and it makes Ocean Master a little more layered as a villain because he's not just mustache twirling, "Ah, yes, I hired these people to do the bad thing," as an excuse. He has legitimate grievances now.
Right.
Um, and again, like, you change the framework of like why Black Manta's doing this, and it also affects Aquaman because his arc is fucking silly. Like,
Uh-huh.
no arc basically.
No
Um,
arc.
yeah, but you get the idea. He takes the basic premise. He says, "Oh, this shit didn't work as well as I thought it could have. Let's see if we can beef it up." And that's it.
Okay.
Um, if I could recommend anyone from that just for fun and like the most of the ones that I mentioned have kind of a political bend to them. If I can mention anyone who usually just if politics isn't really your thing, who is almost completely abstained from it, probably Filmento and Nando probably do that the best. But I don't
For
really give a
sure.
shit. Lastly, I apologize. I have 2 categories and that's it. If you're willing to hear me out, Ari.
Always.
Okay. So I have drum roll. This is gonna sound really fucking boring, but I'm asking you to hear me out. We have statistical and rhetorical arguments.
Hmm.
So YouTube is plagued with a really high percentage of online YouTube conservatives.
Hmm.
One of which is PragerU, PraeGer, capital U. PragerU is an online school that is paid for by the Koch brothers or oil industrial millionaire billionaires, whatever. They spew out really well articulated and well crafted videos that espouse like conservative ideology and makes it kind of like, oh, the left is the real racists and like this and that. And, you get the idea where it's like, I'm not the racist, you're the racist. This is really the bad thing. Socialism is terrible. Uh, and in that, I bring out Sean, just spelled Shaun.
Hmm.
Sean he doesn't have a very active YouTube channel, but he does post videos. He tends to have a varying time when it comes to the length of his videos, but a lot of it is based on research and statistical analysis. He'll take any video that he sees from popular right wing conservative YouTubers. I'm not going to name them all. I don't want to give them a name, with the exception of PragerU. And he essentially breaks it apart based on historical information and statistical information as well. Uh, if you have the time, if you're just fucking jerking off for three hours or so, he has a great video on the bell curve. A lot of his videos counter a lot of PragerU stuff. Uh, and that's where I'll go with that. He's dry-witted, but he's very funny.
Hmm.
Um, Another one is H Bomber Guy.
Hmm.
HBOMBERGUY. H Bomber Guy does kind of everything, but does a large portion of left-leaning stuff, statistical and rhetorical argumentation. Um, he does video game analyses, which for anyone who wants to see a good video game analysis video, look up H Bomber Guy and like either Fallout 3 or Fallout New Vegas, and he breaks down like some really great fucking game design for both games. Really, go check it out. If you're not there for that, if you're there for the politics, he's got a bunch of them. Really, really, really good research analysis. Really good research analysis. I mean, sorry. Um, and that's that. So now the last bit I have, I think, three social commentary philosophical YouTubers. I have Philosophy Tube. The YouTuber's called Ollie Thorne, so Philosophy Tube. And he breaks down a bunch of like philosophical like tendencies that we're having right now. He deals in stuff like data, the video game industry, anti-Semitism,
Mhm.
queerness, the concept of like Charles Darwin and Karl Marx, or comparing Charles Darwin and Karl Marx and stuff like that. Um, he is a very, very well articulated man, very well edited, well crafted videos. Um, I can't find many videos or essays that really kind of delve into things the way his do and that are so articulate. Which also brings me to what I would probably call like the sibling channel is ContraPoints.
Hmm.
Um, ContraPoints is headed by Natalie Wynn, a transgender woman, who does very similar videos. She's absolutely fucking hilarious, and she breaks down a lot of really good videos on social issues, similar to how Ollie Thorne does in Philosophy Tube.
Mhm.
Um, she's very well spoken, well written, um, and for a lot of videos, she does manage to capture the opposing view very well. Sometimes she'll satirize it and lampoon it, but a recent video she did on J.K. Rowling kind of discusses, uh, without condoning, why J.K. Rowling might have the view that she has,
Mhm.
um, and kind of tries to point out like uh, what what instances push these people into these directions and cause these people to say these things. And then lastly, we have Three Arrows.
Three
For
arrows.
any Yeah, Three Arrows. Three Arrows is a German political YouTuber. For anyone who doesn't know, Three Arrows is a term in I think the early 20th century that pertained to like an arrow for the monarchy, an arrow for communism, and an arrow for fascism or something like that. I can't quite remember what. It was essentially anti-authoritarianism.
Mhm.
Um, Three Arrows does a really good job. All of these people that I have mentioned, by the way, from Sean to H Bomber Guy, ContraPoints, Philosophy Tube, and Three Arrows, tackle right wing YouTube, tackle a lot of right wing talking points very well. They convey a multitude of different ideologies from social democratic to socialist views. Um, well, that's not that much. A multitude of views from the left. He's a German. He sees things from a German perspective. He tries to address some domestic issues on his end. He draws a lot of parallels between Germany and some parts of the United States. Um, Yeah, he's again, all of the people that I have name dropped are all scripted, well versed,
Mhm.
very clearly spoken YouTube video essayists. Yeah. So if anyone is interested, we have a couple of them. I'm sure that we can introduce the links below. You're more than welcome to check them out. If you're interested, if you got time to kill, go ahead and listen to him. Three Arrows is kind of varied. He'll do like I would assume like an average of like a half hour video. So yeah. Oh, you know what?
Sure.
Fuck it. One last guy. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
This guy is probably more like a liberal, lib.
Mhm.
But his name is Atun Shea. A
Mhm.
T U N space SHEI. Atun Shea is, I believe, he has a degree in anthropology or some kind of archaeology or some kind of historical aspect to him. But he is a big, big American Civil War nut. I mean that with all respect.
Yeah.
And he takes, if you go to Atun Shea for one and one thing only, I recommend you go to at the very least his videos called Checkmate Lincolnites. Checkmate Lincolnites is a video where he essentially sits down with himself.
Huh.
Um, so he plays, God, I can't remember. He essentially plays himself in a Union outfit and then a caricature. Well, probably not that much of a caricature. Um, a Confederate soldier who essentially reads the trash YouTube comments from Southern folk to form an argument with himself.
Okay.
They're very good. He essentially takes like one of his videos is were there really black Confederates, and he kind of addresses that, no, there really weren't. And uh another one that he goes over that I really like is was it really a war of northern aggression, and he counters that idea really well. He essentially takes all of the Southern strategy lost cause myth rhetoric, and he just annihilates it. For anyone who doesn't know, the lost cause myth is the idea that the South was fighting strictly for independence, that the North started it all. It was a war for taxes. That black people would have been completely fine in a Confederate States of America, that there were black soldiers who would have gladly fought for them, and so on and so forth. And he perfectly eviscerates all the arguments that are made. He provides, by the fucking way, he actually signposts with sources that you can rely on too, that you can choose to rely on, that you can view for anyone who is interested. He breaks down a lot of really, really, really great information that for some people, if you're tired of hearing, at least I know I am, I hear it all the fucking time on YouTube and Facebook about how, uh, the Democratic Party is the plantation for modern black people, and all this other crap. You can watch stuff like this and get at least a straightforward idea without having to read. And I do stress, please read a book on all this stuff. But if you didn't really necessarily want to, I do think this guy has some really good legitimate historical background. Breaks down a lot of really complex stuff to into really, really easy to manage bite-sized information. So yeah. And he's funny as fucking hell. Like, oh my god. I wish, I wish fucking the fucking conservative or the Confederates were this stupid and funny. Like, oh man. Oh god. Oh man. You have no idea. Anywho, I think I'm done. I've talked myself into a
Hmm.
fucking coma.
Okay.
Do you have anything else you'd like to talk about, Barry? Anything else you'd like to
Me? No, I think we talked about what we wanted to talk about for this week, and then obviously the yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm good for this podcast, man.
add? All right. Well, Jesus, since you want to get out of my fucking hair so quickly,
Unless you have anything else you want to talk about?
I think I'm good. Just fuck hedge fund corporations.
Mm, mm, mm.
All right.
Yep.
Well,
Hold the
stay,
line.
give me one sec. I'll do the plug-in or the outro in just one moment.
Believe you.
All right. So, for anyone who would like to post, anyone who would like to add or chat with us, you can hit us up on Twitter at capital H, capital A, blah, blah, capital H, capital T, capital M underscore podcast. HTM underscore podcast. Anyone who wants to watch our YouTube videos, you can hit us up on Hitting the Mark with Harry and Mark. And if you would like to ask us any questions, if you wanted to, tell us we suck, you can hit us up on our email. If I can find it, give me one fucking moment, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so sorry, I'm incompetent. See, this is why I should really have this stuff on hand, like immediately. Oh
Yeah, but
god.
we're not that professional.
Yeah, no. Why would we be that professional? If you wanted to give us any input or again tell us to go fuck ourselves, you can message us on hittingthemark2020@gmail.com. All right, there we go. I did all three of them, and I think we did pretty good. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
same here. Yeah, I agree. All right, everybody. See
Oh,
you.
Harry, I see you added Alexandria Ocasio Cortez. Do you
Yes.
and Livy role play that? Yeah,
No.
you can be honest. It's okay.
So yeah, we'll see you guys next week.
Don't deflect from that. Non-answer is an answer.
All right. Well, I'll talk to you later. Uh We'll
All
see
right,
everyone
folks.
next week.
Fuck yeah.
Bye bye.
Auf Wiedersehen, assholes.